So this next story is really something mainstream media totally ignored. But Raw Story had an article on it and some video on it as well. They say, watch, huge group of armed black protesters march on Confederate monument in Georgia. So, you could see that's what they look like there. It was a lot of people. I'll show you a video here in a sec. This is in Georgia on July 4th, and they're marching to Stone Mountain Confederate Memorial, which is a 9-story sculpture in northeast Atlanta, and it's the biggest Confederate monument in the country. It's basically like this giant shrine to the Confederacy. And, the whole point of these monuments originally was to spit in the eye of the civil rights movement and black folks and to say, like, we have a hierarchy here and know your place. And a lot of people don't know that the Confederate flag that we think of today as the Confederate flag, that was birthed in the civil rights movement. It was a giant middle finger to civil rights and equality. And these monuments are also, many of them are very cheaply made and just thrown up because, again, the point was to say, screw you to people trying to make change for the better. So this group calls themselves the NFAC, the Not Fucking Around Coalition. And apparently a little further down the road were Trump supporters on motorcycles with MAGA flags. So there was no, at least that I know of, there was no fighting, there were no shots fired, and, the peace was kept. So that's definitely a positive thing. Now, Gun Owners of America, the group Gun Owners of America and the NRA, they came out in favor of American citizens peacefully protesting with their weapons because, of course, these groups believe in the right to bear arms. They believe in the Second Amendment. They believe in responsible gun ownership in America, and not a shot was fired at this event. So the NRA is hugely supportive of this. Oh, wait. I made that part up. Gun Owners of America and the NRA said Dickie McGee's axe. They had nothing to say. And in fact, if we ever were to get gun control, it'll be because of stuff like this. Let's keep it real. Like, I don't think at this point that we'll ever get sufficient gun control to really ameliorate the problem of mass gun casualties every year in this country. But if we were to get it, it would be because you have giant groups of black people dressed in military gear marching through the streets holding guns. Because if there's anything that'll scare the pants off of white America, it's this. But interestingly enough, like I said, it was peaceful. Not a shot was fired as far as I know. And it was just a show of, all right, you know what? We've had it. With the killing of George Floyd and the police brutality issues and now Confederate monuments coming down around the country, Mississippi just got rid of the Confederate flag in their state flag. There's a moment here where people are saying, all right, you know what? Enough. We get it. Oh, you have armed militias too, and you have protesters too with your MAGA flags and whatnot, and your Confederate flags. Well, we have guns too, we have numbers too, and we're flexing a little bit on you right now. So, if you don't like what you see, maybe we change society for the better. Maybe we get rid of the Confederate monuments, maybe we get rid of the Confederate flag, maybe we fix the police brutality problem and various injustices in this country. And, guns are an interesting issue because I feel like I've gone back and forth on that issue a number of times. Originally being very pro-Second Amendment to then being in favor of massive gun control. Now I think I have like a middle path. I think we need some basic gun reforms, but I do overall believe in the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, and I think that, reasonable, responsible gun owners should not be punished because there are many people who are terrible with the guns who do violence. But I do think there's some sort of a middle path where you could have effective regulation, you could have background checks, you could have bans on high-capacity magazines and whatnot, but, there's a certain point where even I become uncomfortable. So I think I have a relatively moderate position on guns, but between this and if you get some armed Muslim Americans carrying guns, you might actually see a 180 in the government. Whoa, did we say no gun reform? What we meant was, see, what happened was, what I think is maybe we got to do some, because we don't like it when there are Mexicans carrying guns, I was going to say. Muslims and black people carrying guns. And actually throw Mexicans in there to boot. If there's some armed Mexican groups too, the politicians in this country be like, whoa, we didn't mean that. When we said right to bear arms, we didn't mean for them. What's going on here? So anyway, interesting story that was not touched at all by mainstream media. I wonder why it wasn't touched by mainstream media. But somebody said it's bigger than any even Black Panther movement that they've seen. So there was some sort of a reawakening in this country, that's for sure, and we're seeing the fruits of it now.